Hi guys, a simple question. What the heck is wrong with Rishi Sunak? Now, I know he's disconnected from reality and the struggles that ordinary people go through due to his billionaire connections. But he seems to be channeling his inner Therese Coffey when he was asked about the reality of deaths taking place as a result of the problems facing the NHS that he is ultimately responsible for. Here in this interview, he ignores the question about being troubled about unnecessary deaths during the crisis. Have a listen to Rishi Sunak here.
Beyond the industrial unrest, in the wider NHS, there is a crisis. People are, we don't know how many, but people are almost certainly unnecessarily dying. Does that trouble you?
The NHS is obviously under enormous pressure as we recover from COVID, and I have enormous admiration for all the people working incredibly hard in the NHS right now to help get us through that. Now, we are supporting them with billions of pounds of extra funding, but in particular this winter, what we want to do is make sure that we move people out of hospitals into social care, into communities. That's one of the most powerful ways we can ease some of the pressures on A&E departments and ambulances that are waiting too long. If we can move people into social care, that's why we've put money into doing that. We need to make sure that money reaches the front line and makes a difference. And there's various other initiatives that we're rolling out that will also help ease some of the burdens. But people should rest assured, one of my promises that I made this week was to tackle NHS waits, and I'm fully committed to doing that. We're putting the extra money in, and we need to make sure that the initiatives that we've put in place actually make a difference. But this is what I'm focused on. I set out 5 promises for the country this week: to halve inflation, reduce debt, cut waiting lists, stop the boats, grow the economy. That's what I'm prioritising.
What is this bloody obsession with frigging boats? Can the Tories give up this obsession of running after racists and bigots for 5 minutes? As I said at the beginning, he's sounding like Therese Coffey here. Now, the reason I mentioned Therese Coffey is because about a year and a half ago, I don't remember exactly when, Therese Coffey was interviewed by Sky News, Kay Burley on Sky News, and Therese Coffey at the time was the Secretary of State for the Department of Work and Pensions. And she was told a story about a person who died because they weren't able to access the benefits they needed to survive. They literally died. And Therese Coffey's response to that was not, "Oh my God, that's terrible. That's a desperate situation. I didn't know about it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to investigate, get a report put together, and we'll make sure it doesn't happen again. And my deepest sympathies to the family of that person who died. This should not happen, and it will not happen again." No. Her response was, well, we've put loads of money into the department, and there are benefits that if people need to access, they can access this way or that way, and blah, blah, blah. And you're seeing exactly the same thing here. He was asked, are you troubled about people literally dying in corridors? And his response is, well, we put loads of money into the NHS, blah, blah, blah. I have huge admiration for the staff. And boats, remember the boats. We have to keep talking about frigging boats because, the racists and bigots, we need to keep those people on side. Mention the boats whenever possible because that's some people's frigging priority. There are people literally dying in corridors and you need to talk about frigging boats. In order to become a Tory minister, do you have to exercise any sort of humanity or empathy? Does it have to be extracted from you and then you can become a minister? And to become prime minister, it has to be completely eliminated. All of it has to be completely eliminated. Any humanity at all. Boris Johnson went into hospital, came out exactly the same. He was treated by people, foreigners actually, people who had moved to the UK to work. And he came out exactly the same as he went in. Rishi Sunak doesn't actually have to do that because he has a particular private health insurance, so he doesn't have to go to A&E. And once again, this complete disconnect. But it's beyond a disconnect. It's a lack of humanity. What does Rishi Sunak get out of this? This is my question. Why is he Prime Minister? Is it just to make sure that laws are there to protect people like himself? Does he actually care about people? Even anything, like, is it just me, my wife, my family? That's it. Everyone else go to hell. You know, you have a job as Prime Minister. You have a responsibility. Do you not even have a little bit of humanity? And he couldn't even be bothered to go down and visit the hospitals because he knows he'd be confronted by people who are looking at their loved ones dying, and he'd actually have to answer some questions. He wouldn't have journalists, throwing him softball questions. This wasn't even a softball question, but there was no follow-up. There was no, wait a minute, are you troubled about people dying in corridors? No, he wasn't challenged on that anymore, because he knows he just has to rattle off his scripted response, written by somebody at number 10. This is how you respond to these questions, not actually respond to these questions. I hope people are seeing this and saying, who is this guy? Why is he Prime Minister? What does his party represent at the moment? And park the tribalism for a moment and say, is this what you want? Is this what we want as a leader of a country? Is this what we want as a Prime Minister? Who does he represent? Is it businesses who are trying to get access to the NHS to make a profit out of it? Or does he represent people? Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think about all of this. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.